Let me describe a scenario, and I want you to tell me honestly how familiar it sounds. You start the week with a list of tasks that are not particularly difficult. They are just time consuming. Organizing files, pulling information from a bunch of different documents, formatting a report, summarizing a long thread of emails, preparing a weekly update from scattered notes. None of it requires a specialist. All of it takes hours. Now, what if you could hand that entire list to an AI, walk away, and come back to find it done? Not described, not partially started with a bunch of instructions for you to finish. Actually done. Files sorted, report drafted, summary written, task complete. That is not a hypothetical. That is Claude Cowork. And it is available right now. This video is a deep dive into what Claude Cowork actually is, how it works, what it can do, who it is built for, and honestly, what its current limitations are. Because this is a genuinely new category of AI tool, and I think it deserves more than a surface level overview. My name is Sarmatic, and I am an AI avatar, but more on that later. On this channel, we make AI practical for people who are curious but do not know where to start. If you have been following along with this series, you already know we do not do hype here. We cover what these tools actually do in plain language, with an honest assessment of where they deliver and where they fall short. Claude has been having a significant moment lately. A growing number of people who use AI tools regularly have been migrating toward it, particularly for writing and complex tasks. And Cowork is the feature that has the potential to take that momentum into a completely different category of usefulness. Let's get into it. To understand what makes Claude Cowork different, you first need to understand what most AI tools, including the standard Claude chat interface, actually are. When you use a regular AI chat tool, the interaction works in one direction at a time. You type something. The AI responds, you read the response, and then you decide what to do with it. The AI is essentially a very sophisticated text generator that reacts to your prompts. It does not take action. It does not open files. It does not complete tasks. It produces text that you then have to act on yourself. Claude Cowork is a different kind of tool entirely. It is what is called an agentic AI, which in plain language means it does not just respond to you, it acts on your behalf. Here is how it actually works. You install the Claude desktop app on your computer, which is free to download. Inside that app, alongside the regular chat interface, is the Cowork view. When you switch into Cowork, you give Claude permission to access specific folders on your computer, not your entire machine, just the folders you choose. That is an important distinction, and we will come back to it when we talk about privacy and safety. Once you have set that up, the interaction changes completely. Instead of typing a question and getting an answer, you describe an outcome. You tell Claude what you want the finished result to look like, and then Claude goes to work. It reads your files. It moves between your applications. It synthesizes information from multiple sources. It writes, organizes, and formats. And it comes back to you with a completed deliverable rather than a set of instructions for you to complete yourself. The difference is clear. In regular chat, Claude responds to your messages but cannot access your files directly. In Cowork, Claude has permission to read, edit, and create files in folders you specify so it can actually complete tasks rather than just describe how to do them. The origin of Cowork is actually worth knowing because it explains a lot about why the tool works as well as it does. Anthropic had a developer tool called Claude Code, a powerful command line tool for software engineers that could automate complex coding tasks. It launched in late 2024 and became genuinely popular in the developer community. But then something unexpected happened. Developers started using it for things that had nothing to do with coding: vacation planning, building slide decks, organizing email, canceling subscriptions, essentially using a sophisticated coding tool as a general purpose task assistant because it was so much more capable than the standard chat interface. Anthropic watched this happen and drew the obvious conclusion. If technical users were going out of their way to use a coding tool for non-coding work, there was clearly a demand for that kind of capability from a much wider audience. Cowork is the result. The same underlying agentic architecture as Claude Code, built into an interface that does not require any technical background to use. Let me walk through the 5 main categories of what Cowork does well right now, and I will keep each one tight because honestly, the capabilities speak for themselves. The first category is file and folder organization. Most people's computers are quietly chaotic. Downloads folders full of unsorted files, project folders saved in a rush, duplicates everywhere. You point Cowork at a folder, describe how you want it organized, and it proposes a plan covering categories, naming conventions, and files to flag for review. It does not touch anything without your approval. Once you sign off, it handles the entire reorganization without you moving a single file manually. The second category is document drafting from multiple sources. You hand Claude a set of source files, meeting notes, research, data exports, feedback forms, anything written. You describe the document you need. Claude reads across all of it, synthesizes the relevant information, and produces a working first draft, not an outline. A draft you refine rather than a blank page you fill. The hardest part of writing a report is rarely the writing. It is the assembly. Cowork handles the assembly. The third category is scheduled and recurring tasks. This is where Cowork starts to feel genuinely different from anything most people have used before. You define the outcome and the cadence once. Pull my metrics into the weekly report every Friday. Check my email every morning and surface anything urgent. Run my Slack digest and summarize what I missed. Claude handles the execution every time without you having to think about it again. The fourth capability is computer use. This one is remarkable. When Cowork needs to complete a task that requires opening an application, navigating a website, or clicking through a process without a direct integration, it controls your computer on your behalf. It takes screenshots, understands what it is looking at, and operates your screen the way a human assistant would sitting at your desk. You can watch in real time or walk away and come back to a finished result. The fifth area is connectors. Cowork connects to Google Drive, Gmail, Slack, Google Calendar, and a growing list of other tools. These connectors let Claude pull information from and take actions within the tools you already use every day. When a connector exists, it uses that first. When it does not, it falls back to your browser or computer use to get the job done. The result is a tool that moves across your entire digital work environment rather than being confined to a single app. I think any honest review of a tool that can access your files and control your computer owes you a direct conversation about what that actually means in practice. Anthropic has built meaningful safeguards into Cowork, and the tool is designed with human oversight as a core principle rather than an afterthought. But you should understand what those safeguards are and what the current limitations of the tool are before you decide how and whether to use it. Starting with permissions, Claude Cowork does not have access to your entire computer. You choose which folders it can access. That is the boundary. Everything inside those folders is within Claude's reach. Everything outside them is not. You are in control of where that line sits. Before Claude takes any significant action, it shows you the plan and waits for your approval. You can see exactly what it intends to do before it does it. You can redirect, refine, or stop the process at any step. It is not a runaway process that operates without your involvement. It is a capable assistant that checks in before it acts on anything that matters. Anthropic is explicit about this in their own documentation. Cowork is designed with human oversight in mind. It completes tasks, but consequential decisions remain with the user. The computer use capability specifically is worth addressing separately because it is the most sensitive. When Claude uses your computer directly, it is interacting with your actual desktop and applications. It requires explicit user permission before it can begin, and you can end the session at any point. But it is worth being thoughtful about which tasks you use it for, particularly in the early stages while you are still getting familiar with how it behaves. Now, the honest limitations, because this tool is still in active development, and it is important to be clear about where it currently sits. First, Cowork requires the Claude desktop app to run. It does not work in a browser. If you are primarily a browser-based user, you will need to download and install the desktop application first. Second, the most capable features, including computer use and certain connector integrations, are currently available on paid plans, specifically Pro and Max. The free version of Claude gives you access to the chat interface, but the full Cowork experience is a paid product. Pro is currently priced at $20 per month, so this is a meaningful cost consideration for anyone who is just starting out. Third, because this is a relatively new product, the range of connectors available is still growing. If the tools you use every day are not yet on the supported list, Cowork will fall back to browser or computer use to interact with them, which works but is slower and less reliable than a direct connector. Fourth, Claude will occasionally make mistakes. It will sometimes misinterpret an instruction, organize something in a way you did not intend, or produce a document that needs significant editing. This is not a reason not to use it, but it is a reason to review what it produces before sending it anywhere or making any changes permanent. Let me be direct about who Claude Cowork is built for right now, because the honest answer matters for a beginner audience. If you are a knowledge worker, meaning someone whose job involves regularly working with documents, data, reports, or research, Cowork is worth serious attention. The time-saving potential is substantial, and the return on the subscription cost is genuinely achievable for people in those roles. If you run a small business and spend a significant chunk of your week on administrative tasks, document preparation, or information management, the same applies. The recurring task capability alone can reclaim hours every week from work that is necessary but not particularly valuable. If you are a complete beginner who is still getting familiar with AI tools generally, start with the free Claude Chat interface first. Get comfortable with what AI can do in a standard conversation. Build the habit of using it for everyday tasks. Cowork is the natural next step once you are already getting value from AI. It is not the right first tool. It is a very strong second one. If you are ready to try it, here is the simplest path in. Step 1. Download the Claude desktop app. It is free for both Mac and Windows at claude.com. Download. Step 2. Open the app and look for Cowork in the sidebar alongside Chat and Code. On the free plan, you can explore the interface. The full feature set requires a paid plan. Step 3. Start small. Point Claude at a folder you have been meaning to sort for months and ask it to propose a plan. Read the plan carefully before approving anything. That first experiment will tell you more about what this tool can do for your specific situation than any video or article about it. What Claude Cowork represents is the beginning of a genuinely new relationship between people and AI. Not AI as a search engine, not AI as a writing assistant, but AI as something that actually takes work off your plate and gives you back time for the parts of your work that actually require you. The people who learn to work with agentic AI tools now, before this becomes a standard expectation in most professional environments, are building an advantage that will compound considerably over the next 2 to 3 years. This is not the finished version of this technology, it is the early version, and the early version is already genuinely impressive. If this video has got you thinking about building something with AI rather than just using it for your existing work, whether that is a content channel, a faceless brand, or a digital income stream that does not require you to be on camera, the Sarmatic Faceless Blueprint is built exactly for that. It is a step-by-step course for beginners that walks you through the complete process from choosing your niche all the way through to monetizing your audience. No camera needed, no technical background required. The link is in the description below. If this video was useful, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content, and it takes 2 seconds. Drop a comment below and let me know where you are with this. Are you already using Claude? Have you tried Cowork? I read every comment and I want to know where you are in the journey. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Practical, beginner-friendly AI content every week. No jargon, no hype, just honest guidance on how to make these tools work for your actual life. I will see you in the next one.